Hello and welcome to On the Other Hoof. We have Champions Day, of course, coming up on Saturday, but a bit of a warm-up for you tomorrow at Newmarket with future Champions Day. We also have the first meeting of the season from Cheltenham, which promises to be a pretty good card. Going through the races tonight with me, Michael Andrews obviously isn't here. I think he's stuck on a train somewhere, but we have Callum Liddell and Adam Webb. Thank you for joining me, gentlemen.
No worries.
I imagine you guys are excited for different reasons. Callum has got his new beloved Newmarket, and myself and Adam have got Cheltenham on coming back.
I'm in between actually on this. If I'm being honest, the flat has sort of swayed me this year.
It's a good. In fairness, they're both good meetings.
Yeah, I think the Cheltenham meeting's just as good. I can't wait for tomorrow. I think it's a fantastic day. You know, there's a little bit for everyone in it, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And also in the opener at Cheltenham, Adam has one of his horses to follow that I won't reveal yet because we're going to be doing our jumps preview on Monday, I believe, and we're going to have George Gorman back on the panel who provided us a very successful insight last season. But we have the Future Champions Day to crack on with. We start with a nursery at 150 over 7 furlongs. It's a competitive race. Adam, you've got a strong fancy in it, however, haven't you?
Unbelievably so, yeah, I do. Well, I went looking for horses that want soft ground, and the one I came out with was Hugo Palmer's called Only Joking, who won her maiden at first really impressively on soft ground, and the trainer blamed himself in his blog that on Sam James' site. He said that he shouldn't have run her at Doncaster. He said the ground was too quick for her, although it was on the soft side. So I think she can get a toe in tomorrow, and I think she could be a big price here.
Well, so we can rule that one out if Adam strongly fancies it. That's pretty much right. I don't really have an overly strong view in the race. Mystic Jade would be an interesting one. First time into a nursery. Me and Callum saw at Goodwood, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, I just remembered that one. Yeah.
Complete mess of a race, and it completely fell apart. It was a slowly run. I think she's more of a speed horse, so 7 furlongs isn't really too much of a problem. The ground might be a problem. It's a no-bet race for me completely. I'd give Mystic Jade an each-way chance anyway, about 8-9 to 1. Callum, have you got a fancy in the race?
Not strong. Majestic Manor, I think, probably deserves to be favourite after a cracking racecourse gallop last week at the course after she broke free from the stalls. East Coast Lady is one that would interest me. I was impressed by her when she won on soft ground behind Lacey, and that form looks pretty solid now. So. Again, when second to Homecomings, it was on the softer side, or at least softer than when she's run on before. So I think she might go quite well on it. A mark of 87, I think, is fair. I don't think there's much of real potential in this, and I think she could possibly end up listed class at one point. So 14 to 1 on her, I think, looks pretty fair.
Yes, fair enough. The next race coming up, I think the first race isn't on Channel 4, is it?
Yeah,
the first one is, yeah.
It is on Channel 4. Oh, okay, right, fair enough. Got that completely wrong. I've also got completely wrong that we, obviously, on the other hoof, we like to encourage questions and fancies if you got them. Then you can send them in. We now have a Twitter page at On the Other Hoof. If you don't already follow us, then you can on Twitter. Just go on the top, type in On the Other Hoof, and we should come up. We have a lovely orange picture that Michael made for us. You send all your questions, fancies there. We'll read them out at the end of the show, and we'll try and answer your questions to the best of our ability. But the 225 is next up at Newmarket. The Dubai Cornwallis Stakes, a Group 3 over 5 furlongs. And this one's a bit more of a classy event. Competitive still, as always, though, Callum.
Competitive, I don't think necessarily great. I mean, it just looks a pretty modest race. And again, the favourite Strathburn looks the only real horse of potential. To be a bit better than listed class, maybe in Group 3. I mean, a lot of these run in quite a messy air race, and I don't think many have got much more potential in there, and are just 5 furlong horses that have maybe progressed a little bit later, but and don't really have much in them. Strathburn, meanwhile, has been a little bit unlucky. Showed a lot of speed on debut when chasing a really strong pace, and you could probably excuse that last run behind Too Cool for School when. Too Cool for School just bolted up, but it just got quite a soft lead. I'm actually quite tempted by the Swedish horse in this, Volatile, coming over for Jessica Long. He made a really impressive debut on dirt, but just won so well. probably beat absolute trees, but the way and the manner he went through the race in a good time, and also put up quite a good figure overall, he's not out of this. And if he handles the ground, which I don't really see much reason why he won't, he's got a pretty standard pedigree by Strategic Prince. So I might just stick a couple of quid on him, to be honest, and see how he go, because he wouldn't really have to be that good to be beating this lot. I just don't think it's a good race. But have a couple of quid on Volatile, but I do think Strathburn will be the one to beat, and should go on the ground. So I think he ticks most boxes at least more boxes than most.
Yeah, it's a good jockey booking with Andrea Zani as well on Volatile, isn't it?
Yeah, he's top jockey, absolute top jockey. Actually, speaking of Andrea Zini, I did I'll talk about it later, but it was like a different jockey's title. So I used percentage of winners and the amount of winners, prize money, etc. And that Zini came out on top this season. So he's a really underrated. So I was just looking at strike rate and amount of winners, and just instead of just literally amount of winners. Like it is, and he came out on top. I think he's a fantastic jockey.
Yeah, that's actually interesting. I had no idea whatsoever, but fair enough. That's a good use of your Saturday night.
Such a sad act.
Again, this is a race that it excites me from a watching purpose, but as far as betting purposes go, I wouldn't really be getting stuck into this. Accipit is a horse that I've liked all season. The ground could be a bit of a worry, however. She won really nicely enough when not in an impressive style, but in a more tenacious style, holding off Mind of Madness. It was actually the messy race that Callum alluded to a bit earlier on. It was a classy event, so probably not really far off this kind of class race. In fairness, 14-1 is a decent price, and I just feel like she's a horse that needs a little bit further than 5 furlongs. But then the one time she's tried 6 hasn't really gone right. So possibly with a softer ground, if they go a good pace, then stamina could come into effect. And I think, I've got a feeling Accipit could run into a place. And I also wanted to mention Profitable, actually, for Clive Cox and Adam Kirby. Now, I'm convinced this horse is not a 5 furlong contender, but Clive Cox has got no option because he just will not settle throughout his races and then keeps staying on at the end and maybe finds one a little bit too fast after he's pulled his chance away. Now, if he can redirect that energy into sort of positivity and actually settle and then go at the end of the race, again, if they go a fast pace, that could really play into Profitable's hands. So at 12 and 14-1, if you gave me a quid, I'd have 50p each way on the 2. But as I say, it's not really a betting race for me whatsoever, and I'm not sure Adam's going to have a strong fancy in this either.
Not really. I looked at this race at the 5-day stage, and I didn't have much didn't look promising at that stage either. I'm going to go with Strathburn. I think step back to 5 will help. I just thought over 6 last time. It didn't stretch him because the winner was just so impressive, but he didn't obviously run to his form that day. And I just think coming back to 5, I think he's the right favourite. Actually, interestingly, I'm surprised that Zani's not riding him. I know Jamie Spencer's still Qatar's #1 jockey, but wouldn't you think that they want him to ride their 2-year-olds? I'm surprised that he's not on him.
He's on Capella Sansevero in the next as well. Andrea Zini, that is. So that is strange.
Because I know that with Qatar, they wanted him on the 2-year-old, so it's their new policy. So yeah.
This is it's a tricky one, that is, isn't it? It's as if he's gone, I'd rather ride the Swedish horse, or Jamie Spencer actually really likes Strathburn and sort of said, I'm still your #1 for the moment, and it's gone that way. But it'd be interesting to see how them two get on, actually. Good spot, Adam, well done. A more classy event is the Middle Park District Group 1 up next at 6 furlongs. Now, surely the whole race completely revolves around Ivorwood, who's been nothing short of fantastic this season. The others have got a few chinks in their armour. They're a classy bunch against Ivorwood, but Ivorwood does look a cut above these, doesn't he, Adam?
Yeah, he does. The only slight doubt I think you can have is the ground, but when he won the July Stakes, it wasn't soft because it had just started to rain, but there was a bit of cut in the ground. And he handled it no problem, so I don't think ground will be an issue for him. And I just think he is plenty short enough. So basically, my approach to the race is look at what's going to come second. And the one that I'm going to go with to come second is actually the other hand in Horse Cool Company, who loves small fields, may even get to dictate tomorrow, and I think he'll chase his more fancy stablemate home.
That's fair enough. Callum, are you with Ivorwood or against?
Yeah, I don't see past him. And put it this way, I mean, Richard Hannon's got the long odds-on favourite in Ivorwood in the Middle Park and the long odds-on favourite in Eshikar in the Dewhurst. And if you're going to have a massive punt on one of them, then 150% put it on Ivorwood, because he's against in a much weaker field. He should beat these quite comfortably, and he's beaten horses that I rate higher than the horses he's facing in this field. And other horses, I mean, you've got horses like Jungle Cat as well that I don't think will like the ground. Capella Sansevera, I think you've really seen the best of him already. Muhara, I don't think is anywhere near as good as Ivorwood. I just think he's a very, very good horse, and I'd like to see him win it. And again, agree with Adam's point, the ground was on the softer side when he won at Newmarket. I don't see it being a problem tomorrow. Stall 1, I think, is a prime position as well. I mean, if you look on Saturday, a lot of the horses were winning on that far side rail, and prominently, so I think he's just going to be right up there, and he'll win quite comfortably, and I'll be quite surprised if he isn't. And to be honest, at 6 to 5 on, it's not a price I would back, but I think he should be shorter. I would have him shorter as that. He's one of the highest rated 2-year-olds this season, and there's no, apart from the small question mark about ground, there is nothing to be against him with. So yeah, I can't see him beat at all.
I completely agree with you on that basis. Actually, I saw 4 to 5 and thought, it's not a bit big. It sounds silly to say.
It's one for your multiples, isn't it? Really, you're just doubling up your money.
For sure, I've done one tonight going off of a horse at Wolverhampton, but 4 to 5, like it's the same thing I thought about Tiggy Wiggy at Newmarket in our last run. I know you guys didn't agree, but I thought she should have been way shorter that day. But she ended up going off 13 to 8. Now it'd be mortified if we got 13 to 8 about Ivorwood tomorrow. It's just not going to happen. But 4 to 5, it sounds silly to say because it is odds on, but it is a big price saying what he's done. The others have all got fairly big chinks in their armour and a few question marks to really answer, haven't they? The ground that you've both sort of alluded to, I haven't really got too many worries for him. He won on the July course, didn't he? It was fairly soft that day because they had a massive deluge, which isn't uncharacteristic of the July course, of course. But it was soft enough that day. He handled it brilliantly, I thought. He went through it really nicely. I think tomorrow he shouldn't have any problems. The transition from the July course to the Rolling Mile is not a worry, but it's something to bear in mind. I think he's handled the July course, so the Rolling Mile shouldn't be too much of an issue. So I just think he's fairly bomb-proof tomorrow. I don't think there's anything in the field that can really beat him unless he has an off day, which of course no one can predict. But I can't see him being beat at all tomorrow. And he's something to double up something with. I mean, I know it's tempting fate, but it's easy to be keen on a 4 to 5 shot. But he really should take all the beating. But there's one question I wanted to put to you guys regarding Ivorwood next year. Obviously, by Zebedee, he was a 2-year-old and retired as a 2-year-old. Is Ivorwood going to shape into a Guineas contender?
No, I don't think he'll stay.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I think he'll stay. I don't think he'll stay well enough. Now, I was actually going to put this question as well about next year. What race would you go for next year? Because you've got that 3-year-old sprint, but you have Tiggy Wiggy for it.
Yeah, but will she train on? Will she train on now? That's like,
yeah.
It's more I think we'll talk about it nearer the time, isn't it? Really, but
it's an interesting question.
I don't think Ivorwood will train on.
I think he will because he's not.
Yeah?
He's not a typical Zebedee. He's not small at all by any stretch of imagination. He's a big brute.
Me off was Richard Hannon when he won the July Stakes. He already said that he was like a 3-year-old in his physique. Now, against 2-year-olds, yes, that's great, but next year he has to go on and develop more. I've just got my doubts whether he'll do that.
On the other hand, if the horse was so forward, why would he only be having his 4th start now? I think he'd have been a lot highly tried. I mean, there's a lot of races that they could have had with him if they think he's going to bottom out as a 3-year-old. I just think he's very good.
Yeah, I had that thought process as well. The guy of the stature of Richard Hannon, why would he only run him 3 times?
Yeah,
it makes perfect sense what you just said, Callum. And it's an intriguing topic for next year, sort of which horses are going to train on. Obviously, we had the likes of Tormore last year, who was a fantastic 2-year-old. This year,
How many runs did Tormore have as a 2-year-old though? I'm sure he didn't have many. He only had 3 runs as a 2-year-old Tormore. Because
Was
they
it
looked
3?
excellent.
Yeah, I
He
think
only
did
had
he have an
3.
injury after his Leicester win? He had a setback and then he didn't run until the vintage to do so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then ran in
But then
the
they put him
national.
away after the national. Yeah, they put him away after that. Yeah. Sounds wrong when you say that you put him away after the national.
Yeah.
Six furlongs on an 7 furlongs on 18. No.
Are you gonna go on about Tormore having a chance in the national now, or?
No. He wouldn't stay 2 miles, let alone 4 or 3.
Right, swiftly moving on to the 325, the Dubai Fillies Mile, Group 1. Over a mile, of course, 4 fillies, as the title aptly explains. A bit more of an open contest now, and it's one that I imagine we're going to be having a bit of a debate about. Lucida is the favourite here after winning impressively last time out over a furlong shorter, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It sort of caught the eye of a lot of people that day. I'm tentative. I know you're a little bit tentative as well, Callum, about Lucida.
Yeah, you made a good point that you thought she didn't handle the track particularly well. I wouldn't. I need to watch the race back again, to be honest, to really, because I can't really remember how well she ran in it. But I thought she was relatively impressive and beat a fair horse of Hugo Palmer's, who beat Marshall before them. But Marshall is not best judged on that performance and is far better judged on her very easy wins on 7 furlongs on soft ground. Firstly, on debut in a race where she didn't look particularly like she's beaten much, and she's actually beaten a horse in Fadiil that's chased home Lucida in the Rockfell. So it actually looks really strong form. And as well, when she beat Timber, is another filly I really rate. And I just think that Marsh Hawk has got a huge chance in this. Now the ground's come up in her favour. I don't think she wants soft ground or needs soft ground. It's just the fact that she goes so well on it that makes her such a big hope tomorrow. And I think she'll stay absolutely fine. And she's without doubt the one for me. Again, it's not a 2-horse race at all. I mean, Agnes Stewart really impressed me in the Mayhill, stepping up to a mile. Before that was second to Jack Naylor, who's run well in France as well. So that looks pretty strong form. The ground is a worry for her. I mean, she's improving on anything worse than good ground. So if she handles it, though, then she's got a massive chance. And even horses like Fortu's who impressed me, she's probably more of an Oaks filly in the future, but she's not a 25-1 shot. And I just think it's a really good race. It's a small field, but I think it's a proper Group 1. And the fillies are a real serious bunch this year. I think there's a lot of good fillies, and especially that Moyglare form is particularly strong. So Lucida deserves to be favourite, but I'm really sweet on Marsh Hawk as a prospect, and without doubt I'm going to have a bet on her tomorrow because she's got everything in her favour. And so yeah, Marsh Hawk for me tomorrow.
Yeah, I agree that Marsh Hawk's much more a betting proposition. You mentioned earlier on that I sort of have worries about the track for Lucida, which I do. That's completely true. It's just I've got reservations on both sides on whether I can make an excuse for Lucida that day on looking like, or for it appearing not, that she didn't like the Rowley Mile, and then just saying flat out that she didn't like it at all. The argument saying that it might have just appeared that way is, obviously it's the first time she's experienced a course as wide open as Newmarket, and it was windy that day. So 2-year-old fillies having wind that's blowing all around them, it's going to spook them a little bit, and a lot of them were doing it and running around not really in a straight line. New Providence was one of them that was doing that a lot as well, actually. So there were a few excuses. However, it looked more than that, that when she went down into the dip, she didn't really handle it and then came up it better than she went down it. And I don't know, it just looked a bit too messy for me. Messy might be the wrong word to use, but you get sort of the gist of what I'm trying to say, that it looked untidy, that she didn't really handle Newmarket. Tomorrow will really be the answer for me, because it should be absolutely fine for her. The ground I can't see being much of an issue. She won on yielding on her debut, so it'll be a bit softer than that tomorrow. But I've just got a slight few too many worries about Lucida, and Marsh Hawk represents much better value at 3-1. As Callum said earlier, I was in this completely same camp as him, that I didn't really think that she beat much on debut, but it turns out that she has, and she absolutely destroyed them as well. So it could just be that on softer ground she handles it better than anything else, and she keeps going, because that's exactly what she did on debut. Just kept going at the same pace, and nothing was able to get anywhere near her. So Marsh Hawk would be the one for me. I'd like, if I give Agnes Stewart a massive chance if the ground was firmer, but again, she's a watching brief tomorrow in my eyes. But I'm firmly with Marsh Hawk tomorrow, hoping that she can bounce out and make all for Richard Hughes. Adam, are you going to make it a clean sweep for Marsh Hawk?
I'm actually not. I'm not against. Well, I'm not against Lucida as a horse, but the track doubts. And I also have a slight doubt about soft ground for her, so that rules her out. I also ruled out Marsh Hawk because I was watching the interview after her Newbury win, not the first one, her last one. And Richard Hughes, they asked him about a mile, and he didn't seem fully convinced about her seeing at a mile. I think she will see at a mile, and I think she has got a big chance, but I'm willing to go with the outsider of the field, Fort, who Callum has mentioned, is more of an Oaks filly, but she will definitely handle the ground. And being a full sister of Talent, who obviously won the Oaks, I think she shouldn't be 25 to 1, and I think she's seriously overpriced in this. Agnes Stewart is obviously a nice filly as well, but I'd like to see her next year grow a lot because she's on the small side, especially because I saw her at Doncaster. I didn't think she had very much of her, but she won nicely. Soft ground is a doubt for her, but yeah, I go with Fort, the outsider of the field.
That's fair enough, representing a bit of value there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Using the Pigeon Island method of. Hope you're watching Pigeon.
How are you going to complain about it when it loses?
Keep on me.
Just banter, Pigeon. It's just banter.
Banter. Great banter. It really is. Moving on to the 4 o'clock at Newmarket, which is the Dubai Dewhurst Stakes, a Group 1 over 7 furlongs. And as we mentioned earlier on, Richard Hannon has 2 odds-on shots in Group 1s tomorrow. And this is the second of them with Estidcar, who is a half-brother to a horse that we mentioned earlier on in Tormore. Now, Tormore was a fantastic 2-year-old, so is Estidcar. We'll get on to a bit later on if Estidcar will train on, and probably be asking that question quite a bit in the upcoming weeks. But Estidcar at 5 to 6. Callum, I got the feeling that you were a little bit hesitant about that earlier on.
Yeah, again, look, I mean, the horse has done particularly well on softer ground. I don't really rate that form behind the Hugo Palmer horse who won the Solario, Actabante. He's a horse that I just don't feel they'd rate him, to be perfectly honest. I mean, there's been no talk about this horse all season, even though he's won numerous group races and 2 group races, and it's just been little talk about him. And I just don't see him winning a Dewhurst. He will like the ground. I mean, he's shown he's proven himself on that sort of ground. But like I said before, if you want to take an odds-on shot tomorrow and back it, then you're much better backing Ivorwood in a week compared to Estidcar in what I think is a pretty strong field. Now, can
I put something to you about Estidcar as in terms of them not rating? I think it could be a case of he's a hard horse to get excited by.
Is he like Tormore in that sort of respects?
Yeah, well, he's a horse that does enough.
Workmanlike.
Which seems like a stupid thing to say because he's won at Newmarket by I think 4.5 lengths, beating Actabante. Then last time he won at I think 1.5 lengths or 1 3/4 lengths. So his margins are good, but he doesn't really put the race to bed sort of straight away, does he?
He's not flashy. He's definitely not flashy. So yeah, but he does get the job done, and look, he deserves to be right up the head of the market. But you cannot be backing him at that price at all. I mean, even if he wins by 5 lengths, I still think that's a dreadful price. So looking at who to oppose him with, my worry with the 2 horses I think have on form just as good a chance, if not better chance than him. Percy Maftul, who I thought was really impressive here over course and distance last time out. I'd be massively worried about the ground for him. He's got a proper American pedigree, and I don't think it'll suit him. The worry again for Smuggler's Cove, who was a massive sectional positive a week ago when he won on the all-weather. The lads in the office have been screaming about this horse all week, so they're better judges than I am. But I'm going to go for Cody Bear, who's a massive favourite of mine. And I don't think this horse has been given the credit he deserves. And Clive Cox really rates him, and he rates him just as highly as horses like Extension and Reckless Abandon, who have been really good 2-year-olds for him. In Extension certainly trained on, probably less so than Reckless Abandon. But Cody Bear, unlucky in the Coventry, really unlucky in the Coventry. If he goes closer in the Coventry, then he'd be rated much higher. And he was such a comfortable winner last time out at Ascot. The form is a little bit unproven in places, but Mahara ran in it, albeit he won over 6 after that. But I think he still beat pretty solid horses, and he beat them very comfortably. And I just don't think the horse has been given enough credit, to be perfectly honest. I think he should be okay on the ground. And I've got to have a bet on him tomorrow because I've backed him for the guineas as well at 33. So I just think he's my only guineas bet so far. I just think the horse has been clinically underrated. Maybe he's not ready for it. He's a horse I think will need time, even though his pedigree is quite sharp. But I think he'll improve as a 3-year-old. But tomorrow he will not be far away. So
Yeah.
a couple of quid at 10-1 I think is a good bet.
I actually completely agree with Callum with Cody Bear. I think me and you have been sort of you probably more outspoken than me. I've been more of a quiet fan of Cody Bear. I was really keen on him at Ascot last time out. I think I even put him up on Dubai Racing Channel as well.
Yeah, he did, I think, yeah.
I was waiting for that. I was waiting for that mention. Waiting. It's like the map has just been landed. Oh.
Was what was the Mark Johnston filly that ran that day? What begins with M?
Oh, Murakava, God.
Yeah, that's the one.
Laura, help me out here. That's a stupid name.
Shake if you watch him, mate. Like he was that day.
Oh, horrible. He was watching apparently that day as well. I think I put myself right by tipping up to Gruder until the cows came home. But we won't talk about that. Cody Bear issued completely the same sentiments as Callum. Really unlucky in the Coventry, ran on in really nice style, but in a listed race last time out, albeit a listed race jumping up to a Group 1 is a big step up in class. But I think he was put into the listed race just to sort of win his race and sort of gain a bit of confidence from that. Undoubtedly, he may have been a bit knocked by his Coventry run. He got hampered about furlong and a half out, so possibly he might have been a bit put off by that. So he's got his win, he's got his confidence up now. He's coming forward to this after an 83-day break. I'm not really sure why the break has been that long. Have you heard anything, Callum?
I just think they really rate him. They want to keep him going along slowly. And next year they think he's going to progress. So why bottom him out as a 2-year-old? You know?
Yeah, that's fair enough. That's more than fair. But he won the listed race really, really nicely, and he could have been called the winner quite a long way out as well. So I was delighted to get I think about 2-1 that day. But as Callum mentioned, if he did go close, much closer, even winning the Coventry, he'd be much shorter. much shorter here. He'd be more 6-4-ish.
Well, if he'd won the Coventry, then yeah.
Or possibly favourite ahead of Estidcar. He'd be well up there. So yeah. I completely agree with what you're saying. Estidcar he really impressed me last time actually because he didn't get the run of the race whatsoever. They went really slow. I thought Paul Hannigan could have made a bit more of him, in fairness. So I would like to see Estidcar kicked on a bit sooner this time, really, and make the pace and really set something for everyone else to catch. So I can see why Estidcar's favourite. That might be a little bit short tomorrow. So I'm more than happy to side with Callum with Cody Bear. Each way price 10-1, I think, is a fantastic bet. And again, there are a few too many question marks about others in the field. So for me, I'm going to side with Cody Bear, but Estidcar is probably your most likely winner tomorrow. I'm going to silly ask a question to Adam. Are we going to make it a clean sweep for Cody Bear?
Well, no, but you're not the only two judges who put Cody Bear up tonight. Pricewise has decided that Cody Bear looks a good price, and Cody Bear's Pricewise.
Absolutely not.
He's also gone for Here Comes When and Highland Kalori in the next race. Again, and Pigeon Island is watching actually because he has tweeted us in saying banter.
Whoa!
Again,
Who's he tweeted?
Sorry,
who he tweeted?
All of us.
Pidge. On the other hoof. We have a Twitter page now, my friend. Sorry, I had to set that one out there.
Sorry. Well, with one firm, he is joint outsider of the field. I think Ballardo is overpriced as well. I mean, they had doubts about him on the ground 2 starts ago at Newbury. They thought good to soft was a worry, but the way he went through the ground that day, I was really impressed with him that day. And I thought at Donny, he'd win that day, and I was quite disappointed. The first time Hood could be seen as a positive. It could also be seen as a negative as well, but I see it more as a positive. So I think Estidcar is too short. and I don't really rate him. It's a bit like I can't really give it a title of a syndrome really, but it's kind of I'm the same feeling with Esticar as I am with Tormore, that they were never flashy, but they've never impressed me. And I'll answer Luke's question that he will pose. Does Esticar train on? No, he won't. That's a simple answer. I don't think he will. He is in physique as well at Donny. There was nothing. Yeah.
I'm neither here nor there with him. I don't know. Is what I was saying. He's the kind of horse that would train on in my mind, just because the way he goes about his actions, and he isn't flashy as we mentioned early on. So I can't imagine that racing's taken too much out of him this year. But I don't know. He's one that I really cannot place at all. Do you have any sort of views to him training on, Callum?
I don't think he'll improve as a 3-year-old. I think what we're getting now is as good as we're going to get. I could be wrong, but obviously Tormore certainly hasn't trained on, and it's not like Eshikar's by a less precocious sire. So he's by Dark Angel, who he gets horses to train on, is a very, very good sire, but it just looks more of a 2-year-old.
Yeah, it's fair enough, and I imagine there'll be a lot of people that are thinking that same thing as well as we speak. We'll move on to the next race, the 4:35, a challenge stakes over. It's a Group 2 over 7 furlongs, and we got Here Comes When in the field. Adam, you just said it's price-wise, haven't you?
Yep, and also Highland Glory as well.
And Highland Glory. Well, Here Comes When won out in Germany last time, which means he's the best horse in the world. He's won German race. We also have Amarillo, who is also the best horse in the world. So, which one of them two wins, Adam?
I'm going to say neither, but I'd like
whoa,
best of luck on his first ride at Newmarket. So,
is there anything else in the race?
How can them two not win? Like, they're German.
Ask on Harbour what?
The best German form is.
The
best German form is Torhid's 2000 Guineas third in 2013. Oh,
yeah. Being serious though, I like, with the soft ground, I quite like Alpha Kira, who travelled so well at Ascot last time out, and she put the race to bed really nicely. It's a step up again, but I think she's got a huge chance tomorrow. Also, you've got the likes of Breton Rock in here, who loves soft ground, but off a penalty, he'll have to be at his best to win tomorrow. And I also respect the French horse Bawani at the top of the market, but I think Alpha Kira, she loves soft ground, and I think she can win this tomorrow.
Yeah, I was quite taken by Alpha Kira's run last time. I didn't get a clear run whatsoever, and got a fairly it was Martin Harley rode that day, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I can completely get why you're with Alpha Kira. Callum jested about Torhid a bit earlier on, but I'm going to give Torhid a fairly strong chance. He's been called every name under the sun, really, and not all of them positive, and for good reason as well. This season, though, on his debut, or seasonal reappearance, we'll call it, he was probably one of the biggest eye catchers in the world, and I know Callum spotted Torhid as well. Then
how could you not?
Yeah, it's on the bridle, last.
Yeah.
And that was pretty much how the race just went. Then that was behind Penitent on. It was good enough ground, so there weren't really any excuses that day other than the fact that badly needed the run. He went on to Group 3 at Newmarket after that and didn't perform at all. He's since had another break of about 4 months, and came out recently behind Matila when doing almost exactly the same thing as on his seasonal reappearance, when travelling well, not really finding much. However, this time he did plug on for second. It could just be that he ran into a horse that's really tough to pass when getting on the front end in Matila. So I think Torhid's around 14-1. That would be a huge each way price for me. And I'm also going to give Cable Bay, who, again, on his season reappearance, got completely taken out turning for home, stayed on under Hands and Heels under Jamie Spencer, and then sort of was an eye catcher, and hasn't really gone on since that. But last time out really caught my eye in the behind Custom Cut. That was probably a better race, actually. I'm not going to dance around that. I would say that was a better race last time out. Made a really distinctive move about 2.5-3 furlongs out, and sort of sustained it, but is arguably running against better horses, so got a bit found out late on. I think 20-1 with William Buick on board, I think that could be a big price. So for me, I take 2 each way shots to take on the 2 world beaters in Here Comes When Amarillo with Torhid and Cable Bay. Are you with Torhid as well, Callum? Did I steal your thunder on that?
No. He's got no excuses tomorrow. He's got the ground perfectly for him.
Absolutely not.
If he doesn't run well tomorrow, I know he's been gelded as well since his penultimate start. He was gelded, so no excuses tomorrow. I think the favourite as well, we're taking on Thawani, who I don't really, that form behind Garswood. I know it's a Group 1, but it wasn't. It was a Group 1 by name only on desperately bad ground, and his form before then, I know he's got a string of 1s in there, but it's not form that entitles him to be 11-4 favourite in what is without doubt for me a better race, or a race that will take a lot more winning. I know Breton Rock has that £4 penalty, but his record on soft ground over 7 furlongs, I'm going to ignore the 7th in May 2013 because it doesn't enhance my point, but since then he's finished first, second and first, including in a big handicap at Ascot, or 2 big handicaps, and a Group 2. So I think he's going to take the world a beating tomorrow. He's got the ideal ground. He's really good when he's fresh as well. I know a £4 penalty will make it tough, but I think 6-1's a cracking price on him. Without doubt, the danger for me, and I agree with Adam, is Alpha Kira, who seems to be hitting a bit of form now, and she does seem at home on soft ground. She was a huge eye catcher when Dettori was on at Doncaster, and deserved. Well, she was valued for a lot further when she won at Ascot 2 weeks ago. So in similar form, winner of the Rockvale last year, she's got to go in with a chance, and I'd much rather Dutch those two if you wanted a bet than Thawani, who is half the price. So those without doubt are the 2 for me. I don't really fancy much else at a bigger price. Cable Bay, will he be alright on the ground, do you think?
Wouldn't have any problems with it, I wouldn't say.
He's running okay and good to soft, isn't he? So,
no, I wouldn't hold it against him, but
he did catch the eye. He caught the eye at Doncaster for me. I thought he ran quite well there. So last time out over a mile.
He's done it. He's done it on each occasion this year, though. I'm a little bit worried that he's sort of going to be a horse that catches the eye each time. Possibly.
But I mean, on his 2-year-old form, and I don't think he's far off that.
But at 20-1, I'm willing to find out. So.
25, I'm seeing 25, so yeah, that's a fair price.
Yeah.
Bar that, Here Comes When, I think, has got a pretty solid chance, but was held beforehand behind Breton Rock at Haydock, and has improved since when winning at Baden-Baden. But again, I don't know. I don't really fancy him back over 7. And Matila, I've been crying out for an extra furlong for me. I know she's won last time out, but I really think she wants a mile now.
That's fair enough.
Yeah.
I was expecting a bit more about
I just finished there, so.
You were sort of in full flow of a sentence, and like, no.
I thought my internet had gone.
Yeah, I thought I had as well. Oh, okay, this is the usual occurrence. 5:10 at Newmarket in the closer for Future Champions. There's a Darley Stakes, a Group 3 over a mile and a furlong. Interesting race here. I'm going to run. So basically, and I assume you know who I'm going to rant about, and about Grandeur, who stupidly, he's got no chance tomorrow. He won't run. But what I don't get Jeremy Seeders thinking. This race tomorrow is for £36,862. He was in the Arlington Million. Not the Arlington Million, sorry, the Canadian International at Woodbine, which is on Sunday, which is absolutely awful. It's a horrendous race. But for winning it, you get 600,000. Now, he'd get his ground out there. If he finished 4th, then he'd win the prize money that he'd get for winning tomorrow. Why has Jeremy Nasidas brought him here? Like, what have they got in mind? I just don't get it.
Maybe they just want to keep him at home, and maybe a Dubai campaign. Oh, who knows?
I imagine
all-weather campaign, maybe.
Yeah. Well, I imagine he'd get sent out to Hong Kong again, which, again, he wouldn't have a chance.
No,
I think
wouldn't.
he did the best of his ability this time around, and he wasn't that way. He wasn't that far away, but he wasn't anywhere near bothering the winners. So I just don't get why he didn't go and try and take advantage of yet another really weak Group 1 out in America after the Arlington Million. It baffles me. It's just... Like, a lot of people have slated his handling of Grandier this year, but I don't think out in America it was really his fault. I think the jockeys didn't help him out, but this time there should be a lot of holes in Jeremy Nasuda's walls tonight, the shape of his forehead, because he should be smacking his head against that.
In 20 years' time, when Luke is writing a book about unlucky horses, I think Grandier's going to have like a whole book dedicated to him, like why he should have won countless Group 1s.
Why I died 10 years before I should have due to high blood pressure. Actually, moving on to the race now, because Grandier probably will not run. Air Pilot's probably the one that you got to sort of revolve the race around. Desperately impressive last time out at Newbury. Stepping into Group Company from Handicap Company this time around. 4-1, is it a bit too short for a Group debut, Adam?
I wouldn't say it's a short price because the way he won at Newbury was just so impressive. I mean, he was easing up half a furlong out. It was just unbelievably good. I'm willing to take him on because he's obviously had his training difficulties. I'm going to take him on with Mutakaya, who is finally out again after his second Tacanic chase at the Royal meeting. And he handles a softer surface. He goes at the track, and I just think they've been waiting for a race like this. I mean, they had him. I think they were trying to get him ready for the Cambridgeshire, which I thought, when I looked at the race, I thought he would have had a huge chance, but he wasn't ready for it. So they decided to come here instead, and I think Mutakaya is the likely winner, and I think Educate should chase him home after that shocker he was given at York last week. I think a shocker's being nice, actually.
Bad. That was bad.
I honestly, he's the worst rider on the circuit at the moment. I'm not going to put it out there. He is so bad.
It's every weekend my mum does a 5p each way lucky 15, and she had Educate in that one, and she goes, "What's wrong with Educate? I think he's got a really good chance." I was like, "Yeah, but the jockey on the back is absolutely horrendous." Like, you would have more chance if I was riding, I think. And watching the race, she quickly understood why I am not a fan. But yeah, no, it's a big positive having Joe Fanning on his back tomorrow, and no surprise that he's been back. He's not price-wise, is he?
Nope.
No.
Just the two races, 4 o'clock and 4:35 at price-wise selections.
Fair enough.
I'm surprised because he likes Educate, so yeah.
Yeah, he put him on last time. Actually. Did he put him on last time?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know he's put him on before, but I'm going to side with Air Pilot actually, because as you guys probably remember, he beat a horse that I really like in First Flight, who hasn't really done much for the form since. You could argue he was a bit unlucky in running, but he still should have won that day. He had plenty of chances. But Air Pilot didn't just beat First Flight. He absolutely chewed him up, spat him out, and then trampled all over him. He really won that race easily. Off a mark of 87, it must be said. So this is a completely different kettle of fish going into Group Company off the mark of 105. He's taken on much better horses off level weight, so he's really got to sort of become a man today. Oshie Murphy clearly gets on well with him, so 4-1 I wouldn't be too worried about taking a price on. One that I'm really interested in finding out how he does back on the course is Berkshire, who of course we've only seen once this year in the Greenham, and everything that could go wrong really went wrong. He's way too keen, so up a furlong in trip, you'd have to question if that's the right thing, but would this really be an aim? I imagine they've got something else in mind this season, but what?
With Berkshire, I mean, he's had colic, and they brought him back steadily and slowly, and I think the campaign's all about next year. I've got no problem with the trip. I think he's a stayer. Well, the stayer
I do as
10
well.
furlongs, mile and a half, but
I think he's more on the staying side than he is sprinting side. But he needs to calm down, just take a step back.
My issue tomorrow with him is he'll come on for the run definitely, but he did not handle the track when he won last year. I really didn't like the way he handled Newmarket, so...
just as much ground as well there.
The ground was rattling,
And they ruined him. They ruined him.
If you look at his knee action, he's almost kicking himself in the head every time, so you'd imagine he really wants off the ground. And the fact that he managed to win on ground so fast is testament to his ability, really. So tomorrow, the ground is no worry whatsoever. I think it's a massive bonus for him, but it's just a case of if he's fit off the back of a 188-day layoff.
Yeah.
in my mind anyway. Callum, you're a fan of Educate, aren't you? Are you with him tomorrow?
Yeah, love Educate. Educate's one of my probably my top 5 favourite horses.
Oh,
Yeah, that big. Um, I like him tomorrow. I think he's got a lot in his favour. I mean, no Sabuti on is a plus. I thought he ran really well at York as well, and he surprised me a little bit because I did think he was handicapped out of it, and he showed he really isn't, and he might just be coming to hand, and he hasn't really been as good form as he was last year. But obviously he's a Cambridgeshire winner, so goes well on course and distance, and he's proven on the ground before. So he's won numerous times on soft ground. He just goes on anything. So he could be up to standard of winning this, and the Mutakayev I respect. I'm not sure if 9 furlongs is quite going to be the best trip for him. I think he's quite a thorough stayer, and he's bred to be a thorough stayer. So, to be perfectly honest, I think the race revolves around Air Pilot, who could well just be way too good for them, and he's just so impressive at Newbury, beating a pretty good field. Not beating, absolutely annihilating a decent field, and he's gone up a lot in the weight, £18 for it, but it's still not as good as what Educate has shown in the past. So there's a difference in price between the two. I think it's between the two, and I'll definitely go for Educate at the prices. I just think he's got a great chance tomorrow. He's in really good form, and yeah, I think he's got a massive chance.
yeah, that's fair enough. That's the Newmarket card covered for tomorrow. We're going to have a quick look at Cheltenham, who of course have day one of their opening meeting of the season, and a competitive card as well. If you've got any fancies for Cheltenham, incidentally, or questions about anything on the cards from Cheltenham or Newmarket, you can tweet us at OnTheOtherHoof, and we will read them out in about 5 to 10 minutes when we get the chance to, after we've finished a brief summary of Cheltenham. We start off with a 2.5 mile novice hurdle. I'm going to give it away. Adam, Black Lion is one of your horses to follow. Already won this season, but a bit unimpressively so, I think it's fair to say.
I'd agree with that. I mean, it was at a time when Twiston Davis, the yard, was in a really weird state because he won but was workmanlike, and I think will want a trip in time. And then he had Bally Bowley, who ran next day and ran a shocker, and he also had Splash of Ginge as well. But I think Splash of Ginge, and they all probably needed the run. I think he'll strip fitter here, and he went into the notebook at Haydock when he won. He was such a battling performance, and I really liked him there. I think he's just one of the toughest horses you'll see in training this year, and he'll definitely pay his way over the winter. The other horse that interests, I think, all of us in the race is Present View, and we've all got one race in mind already this season, and we think he's better than 140. So I think Black Lion definitely wins the first.
I wanted to ask Callum actually, because Present View will probably need it tomorrow and come on for it with an eye to the Paddy Power. Vicente, I'm a bit wary of taking Nichols' horses first time out, so that leaves me with Frampton. How much do you know about Frampton from Charlie's?
Yeah, I think he's a pretty good horse. I know he was fully expected to win first time up, and then it was just basically a case of, I mean, he's not a trainer that's really outgoing about his horses, but the horse looks like he's going to appreciate a fence in time, and he looks to have ability. I mean, he's beaten a horse in My Lord who still is a maiden, I think. I mean, how is that horse still a maiden? But
he won today.
Oh, did he win today? No.
Yeah.
Shows how much I know. Oh, well done, My Lord.
Yeah, he won today.
Yes, the form has been significantly boosted at Utah. And yeah, no, I think he'll run well. I couldn't say he could win. In what I think it's a pretty decent race for the time of the year, and there's some quite nice horses in it. But he's going to be fresh. He's going to be ready for it, and he'll be primed. So it's hard to really make a judgment how good he's going to be, because the only way you'll find out how good he's going to be is when he runs in this race. So yeah, I can't really say much about him.
Yeah, it's again probably like a lot of the races on the card tomorrow. It's going to be a watching brief and sort of entering horses into your notebook. I've got Black Lion down as more of a stayer, so I imagine 2.5 miles around Cheltenham will be right up this street.
Yeah.
As for the rest, there's question marks over Present View and Vicente. So Frampton was the only real sort of danger I had, and I don't know, Black Lion, the market support behind him. I think Jamie Moore, I think it's a really good move from Nigel Twiston Davis to get Jamie Moore riding a few of his horses, actually. Yeah. Obviously, he rode double Roscommon and Abbott. I think Jamie's a very underrated rider, and hopefully now with Side Grushi on the doors, I hope he gets more rides, and good luck to him. So Yeah, I agree with that. With Adam thinking Black Lion would win the first race tomorrow, I wouldn't really have too much of a bet on it. The next race though is an absolute cracker. A novice chase over 2 miles. We got Falcara, Court Minstrel, How Would You Know, Chris P. Green, who I'm particularly excited about, Dr. Anubis, the rank outside of the lot, Thomas Crapper, and Unace. Now, another of Adam's horses to follow is Unace. Adam.
Yes. Well, when I originally was looking through the list, I had a list of about 40, and he made the list because of his debut at Doncaster over hurdles, where he jumped the last, I think, upside Stellar Path, and he didn't just leave that rival for dead, he absolutely bolted in. The way he stayed on that day was just so impressive, and it obviously convinced Connections to go for the Supreme, and his running the Supreme was really eye-catching. He stayed on up the hill, and for his only second start and getting within 15 lengths of the Tour, I thought that was a commendable effort, and at Aintree he was completely wrong, so you can forget the run there. I'm surprised. I'm not surprised they're going chasing, but I'm surprised that they've not decided to have a little go over hurdles with that handicap mark. I felt that he could have won a really good handicap hurdle before going chasing, but I think he wins tomorrow. Of the rest in the race, I do like Thomas Crapper as a horse, and he loves Cheltenham, so that would be to his advantage. Crispy Green, yeah, another one that I like as well, but I think the experience will do him good tomorrow. And Court Minstrel, he jumped well on debut, but Cheltenham, I'm not sure whether it'll be his track over fences, because Evan Williams was very sceptical about him before Chase debut, so it's a watching race, I think, but well, obviously Unace wins because I've put him in my horses to follow list, so I think it's more of a watching breed tomorrow rather than having a bet, but I think Unace wins, so...
I've got Chris P. Green in my horses to follow list, and he's one of my main novice chasers I really want to see sort of this season. However, I don't think he's going to be a JLT sort of type. But I mentioned to you guys earlier, if he did turn up in a JLT, he wouldn't disgrace himself. However, he might just go a bit short of the sort of main protagonist in the race. I imagine he'll need the run tomorrow, but he's always been a horse that I thought would do better over fences, and he's a bit clumsy, a bit lazy over hurdles, sort of leaving his back legs into it. He'll learn very, very quickly that you can't do that over fences because you're already going to pay the price for it. He's only a 5-year-old still, so I imagine there'll be a bit more improvement to come from him. So 5-1 is a fair price tomorrow. I wouldn't be backing him. I'd be waiting probably more until handicap company, really. I've got one race in mind for him for the season, being the Centenary, or whatever you want to call it, the last race on the first day of Cheltenham for the novice handicap over 2.5 miles. I think that is tailor-made for him if they can get sort of the right handicap mark going into the day. I think that would be a perfect race for him. As for tomorrow, what wins? I have absolutely no idea, but I'm really looking forward to the race. Court Minstrel has obviously got the experience, so I would side with Court Minstrel, but at 11-8, he is no betting proposition whatsoever for me. So, massive watching race for me. Callum, you're also a fan of Chris P. Green, aren't you?
Yeah, I've always been a fan of Court Minstrel as well, but he's just so happens to be a horse I never win on when he I never back when he wins, and likewise I always back him when he loses. But yeah, I think he might get away with it tomorrow. But I do think Crispy Green, and especially Unace, will be a much better chasing prospects in the future. It's just whether they're going to be ready for tomorrow, first time up for both of them. Especially Unace, who is by a side that has done so well, or did do so well with horses over jumps, and unfortunately died as a 12-year-old. But you know, he's side Takanda Soy, side Van Etern, side Vukovar, and Unace. I think that's a real good. Real good book of horses he's side. It's just a real shame we lost him, really. But Unace looks a proper chaser to me, and I know I get the point with Adam saying that it'd be nice to see him over hurdles, but I know they think he's a chaser. Starting him out at Cheltenham as well, Kim Bailey wouldn't do that for if he didn't think he was a serious horse. So I would really like to see him win tomorrow. So I'll just put him up. There we go.
Yeah, it's a tough race to sort of nail your colours to, really. Like, I think we've all got horses in the race that we really like and are excited to see this season, but
I have a fond memory of watching this race 12 months ago when somebody we were stood with had pulled a successful win the Arc and he fell 5 seconds later. Oh, good day.
Is that race?
Yeah, they've moved it from the Saturday to the Friday, I beg your pardon. But the thing is that confused me. I think they moved this race because of the low sun, but they put the novice chase at the exact same time as this race was last year. Which sort of confused me. When I looked at the Friday card, I thought, right, okay, the Saturday they'll have a novice chase earlier, but they've obviously not. So I'm a bit confused. Because
Did
they blamed the
did
low
Cap-
sun for the fall.
is this the race that Captain Conan beat Sada Gruji any other year?
No, that was the one in November.
Yeah, okay, right. It's a completely different one.
What a divvy.
I remember in that. I remember before that race thinking Captain Conan was going to be the next huge thing of fences. That went well, and then
He is huge thing.
oh, he's
Literally.
massive. Yeah, don't get me wrong. Yeah. Can't bloody run. Moving on briskly to the Potemps handicap hurdle, 3 miles. A lot of runners. Quickly make a case for one horse, Callum.
No, sorry.
Okay,
I haven't even had a look at it, so
that's
I
even
couldn't.
that's even better for me.
They're all just chasers, aren't they? So
Yeah.
don't have a bet in that. It's awful
No.
betting race.
If you were to force a fiver upon me, I'd have it on Cyberite, who possibly might need the run. He is also very slow and stays forever. However, if they go a good pace round here at Cheltenham, the race could just fall into his lap. He's one of the best looking horses you'll ever see as well. He's absolutely stunning. That has to be said about that. But yeah, again, yet another watching brief for me tomorrow at Cheltenham. Adam.
If I had to have an each-way dabble, I'd actually go with the top weight Nakara Bow because he just loves Cheltenham. And if he's ready, I think he could run a huge race. And if we're not forgetting, earlier in the year, he beat Big Bucks over hurdles. So
Did he? When did he do that?
the day that Michael should have backed him at 66-1.
His face went
The only
pale.
the only memories I've got of that race is Callum standing behind me and then Pigeon standing one step higher, and I just hear Pigeon going, "Oh, I don't believe what's happening! Oh my god!" Have you seen the video of a guy at a rugby match? He's commentating and he's videoing it in his mobile phone. That was diabolical, referee. Send him off. You bottled it. It just is that with horse racing.
Oh.
Good times.
Michael's face just went white, and I don't think
was-
he recovered for the rest of the day.
A thing of beauty. A thing of beauty.
Oh. Sorry, Michael.
Another novice chase comes up next, this time over 3 miles, 110 yards. It's featuring one of our favourites, the Ramford Pete.
Yes, the Ramford Pete.
Love it.
This video last year, wasn't it, Ramford Pete?
Was it actually this?
I think so. Oh, was it the open meeting?
Yeah, open meeting, yeah.
Who's mixed them up?
Surely Highland Retreat has to be a really exciting prospect going chasing, and she must go close tomorrow.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think she gets all the weight tomorrow, and I just think she's a stayer. I mean, for a stayer, I mean, the mare's hurdle was never going to suit her over 2.5. I think starting off at 3 miles is perfect, and I expect her to win tomorrow. And best of luck as well, because it's actually the first horse in the Harry Fry ownership group. So best of luck to them. Interesting to note that for the chase now over 3 miles at Cheltenham, I was watching the Racing UK thing earlier. They were talking about it. They've now moved the start back for this chase 100 yards, so now they jump an extra fence in 3 mile chases around Cheltenham. So yeah, it's an interesting point to make. The run for Pete, the run for Pele, the run for Pete. Oh my word, I'm getting confused now. The run for Pele is interesting, and his mark. I can see why they've come here because he's still got his novice status, I think, until the end of the month because he won. I think it was in May he won a handicap at Utoxeter, and he won it really easily as well with the stalking rod from Paul Carberry, and he's got to go in with an obvious chance as well. I mean, and Lamb of Cod as well. But the problem with him is he's got his mark from winning normal novice chases. I mean, he won a 2-runner novice chase by 25 lengths, and now he's got that mark. It's a bit. I don't
think he's high class enough to sort of winning these kind of races.
Yeah,
and I don't think his jumping is actually good enough to win around Cheltenham in earnest.
Yeah.
Anything else to add on to that, Callum? Or?
No, I like Highland Retreat. I just think she's a proper stayer. And she gets a stone from, like Adam mentioned, like a stone is quite a lot of weight. So if she jumps well, she should take all the beating tomorrow.
She's a proper stamp of a horse as well. Like you look at her, you wouldn't think she's a mare. She is absolutely massive, and I'd be disappointed if she didn't really take the fences tomorrow. But hopeful of her. The next race seems more of a 2-runner affair. It might even be a 1-runner affair. Am I right in saying that John Ferguson's never had a winner at Cheltenham?
Correct.
Yeah.
I liked Convictions last year. I
really
liked
well.
him.
I know Callum, you did as well, actually, didn't you? You liked him.
Yeah. I backed him. I think when he finished, placed in one of them, I definitely backed him.
I think on his debut.
Yeah, it was his debut actually. It was his debut. Yeah.
He finished second to Activial, which is very good form coming into this kind of race, and then he finished fourth at Aintree when running an absolute blinder. I think has to be said, but
Off
yeah,
that form, he should be winning, but
Yeah.
the niggling doubt in my mind is the John Ferguson. He's never traded Cheltenham win. I mean, obviously horses are, if they're good enough, they'll do it, but it's just sort of niggles at me.
yeah.
I don't think,
I think
it's a one-horse race, though. I think Ballybowley's a good horse, and also the Dan Skelton horse, Beyond Lucky, jumped really nicely at Warwick, and I think he'd be third best in this race. So,
Yeah.
but if you had to push me, I think Commissioned is good enough to win this. It's just, yeah. And also,
I'd like
I think the old course will suit better than the new course, I like to think.
I think with Commission, the ground isn't a massive issue tomorrow. I would like it to be rattling fast for him, though. That's the only sort of complaint I've got in that sphere. Have you guys got any view on the amateur riders race?
Five-star Wilson was second
Damn it!
a year ago. Oh, you like it as well. Well, Nigel Twiston-Davies has got an unbelievably good record in this race. Hunter's Lodge obviously won it twice, so I think that five-star Wilson would be the bet for me if I had to have one.
I tipped the five-star Wilshire at 50-1 on Bet Racing Nation last year, and it came second.
Yeah, you did. Well done.
Yeah, and I tip him up again tomorrow with Stephen Clements, a better rider on, but a bit higher in the weights. However, goes well here, obviously, so I'd give him a chance. The last race we're going to be covering very quickly is the handicap hurdle of the 2 miles and 110 yards. That ends the card. Vibrato Valtac, Callum learned his lesson the hard way last year, that he is a little bit of a monkey. But Callum, you have a strong fancy in this one, actually, don't you?
Yeah, I would say strong fancy, but I'm actually going to have a bet tomorrow. The only bet I'm going to have at Cheltenham tomorrow is on Poetic Verse, and I think the ground should be okay enough for her, but if you watch that Catterick run, she won on the flat last time at Catterick, and she absolutely bolted up in a Class 2 handicap. And it was just so impressive. Before then, she was second to a horse of Gordon Elliott's that's won twice since, called Tagliatelle. So the form's stacked up everywhere. Dean Pratt takes off 6 tomorrow, I think.
Yeah.
God, Dean. And yeah, I think I like her tomorrow. I think she's got a great chance. And John Quinn, somebody made a point that if there's any trainer in Britain that could take you to Royal Ascot and could take you to the Cheltenham Festival, then John Quinn would be it. He's a seriously good dual-purpose trainer, so he's doing really well with this filly, with this mare probably. So yeah, I think she's got a good chance.
Yeah. I'd give an each-way shout to Citizenship of Venetia Williams. The ground is soft enough for Citizenship to do justice, but back down to his last winning mark, and Callum Williams takes £3 off. I think Callum Williams is going to be a jockey to watch this year. I think he's actually based with Venetia Williams now. So I think he's going to be getting a few more rides now. He's based a little bit more down south. 127, obviously, he takes 3 off, so 1, 2, 4 if you're amazing at maths like myself. I just think he ran at the end of last season. He ran a few races that suggest he was sort of getting to a mark that's going to come back. He's going to come back into a bit of form. Obviously, 1 off 127 last year. I think 20-1 is a good each way price. However, this is a very competitive race, and I'm sure Adam's going to go for something completely different than what's been mentioned so far.
I backed Citizenship in this last year, and he was really disappointing. The one that I like, if he's ready, I quite like Mountain King. He's got form with a horse that we all love in Wild Blue Yonder. Wild Blue Yonder would have won that race at Ascot very easily if he hadn't come down at the last. I just think that Mountain King, it's interesting to say over hurdles with him. I think his mark is interesting. Whether he's ready or not tomorrow is another thing. And I also agree with you, I don't think Valtat will be winning tomorrow. But yeah, Mountain King would be a tentative selection in this. It's an over-bet race, but he's a tentative selection. Fair
enough. Right, every card that we're going to cover has been covered tomorrow. We've got a few questions in. I want to say a few. I mean, a lot of questions in, which is going to be interesting.
I've had an idea, just some of the questions. If we're about Champions Day, I'd leave them for tomorrow.
Yeah. And we've also got a few sort of horses to follow as well.
Oh, we can leave them for the next video.
Yeah, we can leave them for tomorrow. Kai Wills, I like Ivorwood, Estidcar and Lucida. Panel's thoughts regarding ground. I think the ground would be fine for all of them, in fairness. I haven't really got a problem with softer ground. Lucida, I mentioned a few problems, possibly at the track. But other than that, I think that you've got a lot worse trebles than that anyway, Kai. Thoughts?
I had a slight doubt about the ground for Lucida, but if she goes on it, then she's got a huge chance. So.
Yeah. That's fair enough. Ugh, well, I don't like Twitter. It's changed. I can't find favourites anymore. I'm having to go on the interactions bit on notifications. Next question is from Sean has shown his distaste at us covering Cheltenham. Jeff Handley, Smuggler's Cove must have a great chance of defeating the favourite. Looks a smart prospect, and trainer has 7 entries. Obviously, Aidan O'Brien's chosen Smuggler's Cove to bring over 5-1. Looks great value.
I would have rather him gone to America, if I'm quite honest. I thought the Breeders' Cup would have been tailor-made for him. The way he won at Dundalk was so impressive. I thought they'd have gone over there with him, but obviously they've got... Actually, I think Hootenanny runs in the turf,
Yeah.
I think. That is a baffling decision. Juvenile sprint for him.
Did I read somewhere that Frankie Dettori's riding Hootenanny?
Yes, and he's also riding No Nay Never in the sprint as well. Yeah.
Gets everywhere, doesn't he?
It's a bit baffling, but yeah.
Right, okay. Well, I just don't get why they bought their own jockey over for Ron Ascot.
Yeah.
And back in America. I don't know. Okay, interesting.
And
Every decision they've made with the horse has been wrong, so...
Yeah. I'm not going to question the... I'm sure there's method to the madness. Jamie Brownlow is coming. Interesting to see how Cool Company does with new owners tomorrow. He should go in a place. The only chance for me he's got of getting a place is if he gets a soft, uncontested lead.
That's the way I'm thinking as well, and I think he will chase Ivorwood home, because I think they may just let him go to front.
Yeah, exactly that. He's then going to say Air Pilot will be hard to beat again on soft ground. Interesting how far in the race. Yeah, I think we all sort of gave solid chances to Air Pilot, didn't we?
Yeah.
And he also agrees with you guys on Forte or Forts in the Phillies, isn't it?
That's the one, yeah.
Bill Dinsdale will answer your question in the Jumps preview about Votor. Steve Mullington has said that we're clashing with the JP Festival webinar at 8 PM. You won't get Corey and EastEnders doing that BHA style scheduling here. Well, which one are you watching, Steve? Like, free, right here. We're free. We've then got more Jumps preview questions. We've got to have a few questions for that. Hattie Fuller, though, tweet of the night in from her. Woo on the other hoof, brightening up a lonely evening in Newmarket, although I'm not taken with Cody there. # sorry.
Damn it.
Get out. Get out.
At least we're brightening up an evening in Newmarket, so...
Yeah, well, I assume, Hattie, you're going to Newmarket tomorrow, so if you are, have a fantastic day. And I would advise backing Cody there. Sean has tweeted in about Amarillo, of course. If the ground was good, Amarillo would win on the bridle from the front, but not on...
Next.
See you later, Private Sean. See you later. Jamie Brown.
He's no longer private. Have you noticed?
Is he not?
No, he's no longer private. We have to call him Sean again.
I like Private Sean, so.
I agree,
Sean.
actually. I like that.
Jamie Brownlow again likes Breton Rock in the 435 at Newmarket with soft ground. Has got good each way chances plus Thawani each way. That's favourite. Best named person on Twitter, if it is his real name, Derek Gamble Punt. Is the Cody Bear Marshhawk double on the cards? Wouldn't put it off.
Yeah.
I would not put it off. That would pay quite nicely as well, actually, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would.
Yeah. I've even contemplated the bet myself, seeing as I put them both up as the Philly and the Colt to follow either day.
Yeah,
you put them up as a pair. Yeah, you did. So yeah. My pair won't be running together.
Apparently, we've got weather forecaster Phil Dinsdale has said it will be softer at Cheltenham tomorrow. I can't say that word. In it down here right now. So possibly testing ground tomorrow at Cheltenham, which would mean Colt Minstrel's participation would have to be in doubt with the novice chase. But that is all the questions we have time for in fantasies. I'm going to push you guys for naps. I know it's going to be a struggle tomorrow. Callum?
Right on the spot, aren't you? Marsh Hawk. Said with lots of conviction. Marsh Hawk.
Yeah. Oh god. Adam.
Just checking prices. That's actually a price on Black Line, actually. I quite like that. Yeah, I'm going to have Black Line as my nap. I thought it'd be a lot shorter than that.
Yeah, it was 3s earlier on. I don't know if you still was.
Yeah, I thought it'd be closer to odds on if I'm being honest.
Oof.
But it shows how good the race is. No, but the thing is though, when on debut he was like 1-4, so You can imagine, because of some of these novice hurdlers, you put them up in blogs and they go off ridiculously short prices. So I was quite surprised to see a price about them. So yeah, Black Lion is my nap.
I'm stuck. I've got 3, and 2 of them are in the same race.
Oh
But
dear.
each race. I'm going to go for the win purpose one. Air Pilot in the last is going to be my nap for the day. I was really impressed last time, and he made me cry because he beat First Flight, which got an awful rock from Richard Hughes, but I won't mention that. Thank you very much to everyone for tuning in tonight. We are back at the same time tomorrow. We'll try and be a bit earlier tomorrow night. Thank you for waiting around. We'll be back at 8 p.m. hopefully tomorrow night to cover Champions Day from Ascot, and also the card at Cheltenham on Saturday. But until tomorrow night, have a great day tomorrow. Good luck if you have a bet. And for everyone here on The Other Hoof, goodbye.